On this special episode of Future Female Forward, I'm joined by Roma Majumdar, Senior VP of Product at McAfee. Roma is joining us from California. Thank you so much for making time and speaking to us. How have you been? It's very important that you made time for this important conversation on gender parity. My first question to you is, how is McAfee empowering and encouraging women participation in the workforce?
Yeah, no, and thank you for having me. And it's a great question, great way to start off the conversation. The most important thing in order for more women to participate is for actually there to be visible examples of women in leadership positions. McAfee is unique. We have a core of women leaders that I have never actually experienced ever in my past. You have to be at the table, right? So whenever I'm in a room, you will often find women, especially junior women, actually don't sit at the table. They will go back to the wall and sit in the second chairs, right? And my ask is, come join us at the table, right? If you're not even at the table, how are you going to be ready to participate in the conversation?
All right, taking a leaf from that, a few years ago, McAfee ran a gender pay parity exercise and discovered that there was indeed a pay bias. Do you want to talk about it?
Absolutely. I mean, this is something we've done for a while now, and it's a constant and regular thing that we do, right? There's a lot of attention paid to make sure that it's exactly what you're talking about. I mean, we have women all over the world, not just in the US, and the goal is a global view of how we can provide that parity. And it is near and dear to our hearts. It's not done for any other reason, but that we fully believe that it's not only the right thing to do, but it is the only way we get talented women to come and continue and participate with us in this journey that we are on. And it's both structured, as in, there's guidelines and guidance from our HR team that puts this forth, but it's also actually ingrained in our culture. So as we are going through review processes, as we are hiring, this is just something we do, and we check to make sure that we are at parity.
Do you want to talk about the moment when you thought you broke the glass ceiling?
It wasn't something that, it wasn't like this moment, but I know what really made it important for me. It's when I realized and internalized that I have an equal seat at the table and an equal voice in decisions. So I would say, when I learned that my voice was as powerful as anybody else's around the table is when I realized, this is doable and I'm going to do it.
Roma, this question is quite close to my heart. This is about women and money. How do you think women should negotiate for the money they deserve?
Great question, and obviously something very near and dear to my heart. I would say, start by understanding the position you're going into. Research what people like you are worth, and it's unique. There is no set band, right? Because you are a unique individual. You got to go find out what you are worth, what you're bringing to the table. Ask people who know and who are hiring, and then go in with your facts and try not to get emotional about it and have a low bar. Have your low bar that you're not going to go below. And I'm pretty sure that's a good way to solve the problem.
I'll follow that up with another question. Any money or investment tip for women? Anything for the rainy day?
Invest in the stock market and learn about it. Don't do it like it's a game. It's not. Start small, keep investing, learn about the companies. And there is nothing more powerful than seeing that you've invested in at least a few right companies, and that's absolutely making a life-changing, it's life-changing when you can do that. And I would encourage every woman to do that. There is no small amount. A little amount every month helps. And, if you happen to have hit some of the big techs or some of the big other companies, you've got something saved and you've got something invested. And that's as I said, it's literally life-changing.
Okay, this one is tricky. How should women deal with the burden of perfection all the time?
We are perhaps our worst critiques, right? Our bar for ourselves is way too high. And it's not just at work, right? Like I have 2 children, and my bar for what I am as a mother is way too high. My bar for how I take care of my home is way too high. And, I've learned over the years to solve this problem. My ex-boss, at one point of time, I was struggling with this, and he's a fantastic mentor to me. And he said, just because of what you do, imagine the example you're setting for your children. You don't have to be perfect, but with your work and your home and being a mother and traveling, imagine the example that you're setting and forgive yourself. And that it was such a moment of great joy. But practically, it's okay for your kids to eat frozen food. It's not the end of the world. It's okay once in a while to have, sometimes at home it's rice and dal and chips. And you know what? We've survived. It's not, we've not fallen apart. And at work, be mindful of why you're heading towards perfection and what are you trying to control for? Because everybody around you actually trusts in you. They believe in you. You're in the position because they think you're the best person, and you don't have to repeatedly prove yourself. Do your best work, but learn when it's okay to pause and say, this is good enough. And help other women get there. Because when you help, I have 2 women leaders on my team, actually 3 women leaders on my team, direct reports. And I constantly am telling them, hey, it's okay. It's okay. We're good here, right? And that's self-affirming as well. Because if you're telling somebody it's okay to be here, you don't have to hit a 10 out of 10, then you internalize that message and that becomes real for you. And as I said, frozen pizzas, absolutely fine once in a while.
I love that answer. All right, on that note, I want to know, what do you do to prioritize your mental health?
So I definitely work out. I mean, I'm sure you've heard this from many people, but I definitely work out. I mean, today I didn't go because there was this meeting in the morning, but I'm out at 5:30 in the morning. I do an hour of workout without fail, because that's my way of making sure that I've taken care of the most important thing, my health and my body, because without that, nothing else matters. So that's one. The other thing is, I've built friendships at work, and I have a group of friends. And, there are obviously, a lot of senior people in the company. And we just have moments of fun. We'll say something and there'll be a meeting and somebody will text something to each other. And it'll be some little moment. And it's just these moments of humor and joy that, so it's not just one thing. It's like a series of things that keep happening throughout the day that make me catch my breath and take a step back and say, this is fun. I'm doing this because I'm having a great time, right? I'm not doing this for any other reason. And then in the evening, definitely, I like gardening a lot. So I have a little bit of a garden. I go out and, I have a dog. I take him for walks. And then definitely some time for Netflix is a good thing for me. I definitely sit back and watch whatever latest is going on. And those are just, but it's throughout the day. And then my weekends definitely are a lot of social. Obviously, there are a lot of Indians around, great friends who've been friends from school. We just get together, we order great food, we sit around, talk. All of that helps building up, what I think is a really happy life.
All right, before I let you go, I want to ask one final question. Have you personally faced any biases or prejudices on account of your gender while climbing the corporate ladder?
Well, there are a few that I think everybody faces, right? So, yes, of course, right? So one of those obviously was not being at the table, right? And overcoming that fear of sitting, being asked questions. So, my way of mitigating that was preparing, over-preparing. The other thing that I find that happens is, when you're sitting around a conference table, a woman says something, you've heard this, right? And then some other man says it and it becomes that's the idea, right? Yeah. I've found, for me, luckily, a lot of women, Cindy, for example, would amplify my voice, right? Like when I would say something and then she would be like, I just heard Roma say this, right? And so that would be an amplification. And, that helped. And then I learned to actually push and say, hey, I just said it, right? or actually even other men would help amplify. And I've now learned to do that for others, right? So I'd always go back and say, I just heard this person say this, so let's, give credit where credit's due. Not that the other person does not deserve credit, but hey, maybe, we need to take a look at this. So those are the main things that I found. And I will say I have had good role models and good mentors, even in the men that I have worked with.
All right. Thank you so much, Roma, for being so candid with us and joining us on this very important conversation around gender parity. Thank you for making time.
Thank you so much for having me.